Hey everybody, First Ward Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. It is finally starting to feel like fall, but here I am talking about a possible tropical system, kind of a complex situation setting up. And it's not all bad news, but it is something I need to explain because we're going to have potentially a subtropical or tropical system. I think it's a hybrid type system in the Gulf of Mexico that could impact the Carolinas as soon as Saturday night through Sunday. There's a lot to talk about here, so let's get right to the details first. Obviously, very cool. It feels autumn-like. So first thing first, the frost potential tonight. If you're a gardener, we do have frost potential here in the Carolinas with the cold air in place. So just a heads up, I would be ready for some patchy frost for your Friday morning. But all the attention today is on what is being called potential tropical cyclone 13 or 16, potential tropical cyclone 16. I'm gonna get the number mixed up. Now, don't worry about the labels. People get caught up. Oh, cyclones. Every tropical cyclone has the same characteristics. It's warm core. It forms over warm waters anywhere in the world. It just so happens in the Atlantic, we call tropical cyclones hurricanes. In the central and eastern Pacific, we call them hurricanes. In the western Pacific, we call them typhoons. And in the Indian Ocean and the South Pacific, we call them cyclones. But meteorologically, they're all tropical cyclones. That's the technical term for them. So the thing about this one is it might not be truly tropical, and I'm going to talk more about that. First things first, you see here our circulation. It looks like the low-level circulation is here. And first, immediately, you notice all these clouds to the northeast. Doesn't look like your typical tropical system. This is going to be kind of a Frankenstein storm, which means it's a merge of a nor'easter, a regular low-pressure system, and a tropical system. And that's why it's kind of a complex system. So you may hear the word subtropical storm, which means it's not truly tropical. It's kind of a hybrid. That's basically what that means. It means it's not truly tropical, which means it has a warm core. It's symmetrical. All the strongest winds are near the middle. These type of storms tend to be asymmetrical, which means all the winds are on one side. It's not perfectly shaped. It's kind of misshaped. And sometimes it has cold fronts and warm fronts attached to it, which is more typical of a regular low pressure system. So let me show you the track of this thing. And the thing you should notice, it's not going to be very strong. So this is not going to be a big wind maker, but the big concern is going to be on the coast. Coastal sections, especially for the Gulf Coast, there will be storm surge. Because it is a large system, it will push water towards the coast here. And even for the Carolina coast, think of this as a nor'easter because there's going to be a strong onshore wind, which is going to cause some coastal flooding and storm surge. So I don't want to downplay the impacts on the coast because I do think they will be somewhat significant as far as storm surge and coastal flooding. But this is not a big wind maker for areas inland. And really, the rain is a beneficial thing. It's not a negative at all. In fact, this is exactly what we need. In fact, I wish it would slow down a little to give us more rain. It's going to be moving so quickly that the rainfall amounts are actually going to be reduced. You can see how quickly it moves. By Friday night, it's here as a tropical storm or subtropical storm. It would be called Nestor, which is a weird name, but Nestor. Then it becomes subtropical or post-tropical. That's why it's an L there instead of a hurricane or tropical storm symbol, because it's kind of the hybrid. It's going to be a nor'easter, just a low pressure, and it's going to move quickly. Look at that. By Sunday morning, it's there, and it's off the coast by early morning hours. Now, what's interesting about this system is if you look at the water vapor loop, here's our low that we're tracking, but look at this upper level low over Texas. This is why it's kind of a hybrid system. We've got an upper low and a surface tropical thingamajig, whatever we want to call it. They're going to become a Frankenstorm here and then push off in this direction. So we just had this big nor'easter, which you could see over the northeast. This is almost a repeat, and it's going to follow a very similar track up into the northeast. So what does this mean for us? Well, let's get right to the crux of this, and we'll show you what's going to happen. Now, I actually jumped ahead here. Let me go back. So here we are. I'm going to go to tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. You could see we've got a broad area of low pressure. Look how large it is. That's another thing to think and keep in mind. It's kind of a hybrid system, so it looks like a large shield of rain. It's going to be pushed. Whoops, I went too quick. And it just goes to show you how quick it is. So we'll move through tomorrow and go towards Saturday morning. Now, this is the big question. How quickly? I think the track is pretty straightforward, just to the southeast of us. I think the speed is probably my biggest question mark. So here we are on Saturday morning. The rain starts to move in. At the same time, we've got high pressure over the northeast. So there's a big area of high pressure here. There's low pressure here. So that'll help strengthen the winds, but that's also going to supply us cool, dry air in place. So this is not going to feel like a tropical system. This is going to be a raw, chilly, cold rain. That's why I also think it's more like a nor'easter, and also why the severe weather threat is so low with this. There's really not much of a severe weather threat because it's probably going to be in the 50s most of the day early on Saturday. If the rain starts and if the clouds move in, we're probably never going to get out of the 60s. So it's not going to be very warm at all as the system moves in. Let's go through time. We'll go through Saturday. I know there's a big South Carolina Gamecocks game starting at about 2 o'clock. It looks like the rain could start sometime during the game. And again, this is all based on the speed. I think the later you get into Saturday, the rain chances go up. So we'll go towards evening hours on Saturday. We're heading towards 5 o'clock. 8 o'clock Saturday night is when the rain really starts to pick up. And notice even across Charlotte, there's going to be some good rain. Now, the reason there's such good rain is we're going to be kind of wedged in with cold air, so the moisture is going to be riding up and over it. So typically you would see the heaviest rain along and east of the track. I think there will be some good rain north and west of the track because of kind of a weird wedge setup. I told you this is a weird setup. It's got ingredients of an upper level low, surface low, tropical, wedge. We've got everything. So that's why I kind of refer to this as a Frankenstorm, because it's going to have elements of just about everything. We go into Saturday morning, heavy rain around, then starts to shift off to the east and then moves away. And on the back side, we'll see some northwest flow develop with some cooler and drier air moving in. So along the coast, you're going to have the biggest impacts from rainfall, storm surge, and wind. Further west, the wind threat's much lower, but the cold, miserable, drizzly rain is going to be around most of your Saturday. And just to show you the rainfall amounts, now they haven't updated this yet based on the track, but you can see the heaviest rain will be along the coast, and you see back to the west, you're looking at 1 to 2 inch amounts. But I wanted to focus a little bit on the timing here because I think it is interesting to see how the timing plays out on this whole thing. Let's see if I can get out of here. Erase. There we go. Let me see if I can jump out of this. For some reason, I can't jump out of this. Let's see if we can pause. So let me get more into the timing of all this real quickly, and I'll show you how quickly it's going. Here we go. So this is the timing of the rain based on what I'm seeing right now and based from the Weather Prediction Center's forecast. So this is Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Notice the heavier rains to the south. There is some indications that in Columbia there might be a few sprinkles, but I really think it's going to take a while for the atmosphere to saturate. So I really think mid-afternoon on Saturday. This is 2 p.m. on Saturday. Notice the light rain trying to move into the Midlands of South Carolina, but the leading edge just getting up here. This is when things really start to get active. This is 8 p.m. Saturday night. So you see that rain starts to move into Columbia, South Carolina. Then we go into 2 a.m. Sunday morning, and then we get into Sunday morning, 8 a.m., and that's where the rain really starts to move. So this is based on the track right now. Clearly the heaviest is going to be down in here, but up in here we'll have to watch with that northwest wind and overrunning. I think this will enhance our rain chances a little bit here across the western Carolina. So obviously a lot going on with this system. It's still just forming. The hurricane hunters will head out there today. Don't get worried about this being a big tropical storm or hurricane. This really is good news for us in the Carolinas because we need the rain. But if you're on the coast, especially areas that were impacted by flooding from Dorian or already recovering from other storms, the storm surge and the onshore wind could cause coastal flooding. So we're really concerned about that. Talking about the Outer Banks all the way down to the Grand Strand. So keep an eye on that. Higher than average tides. Of course, I'll post updates throughout the day just to keep an eye on this system. If anything changes, the big story with this is going to be beneficial rains and a big impact on the coast from storm surge. With whatever this becomes, it's going to get a name, Nestor, which is the weirdest name ever, but it kind of fits because it's a hybrid storm.